Hey there everyone, my name is Jenna. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are gonna head off to the thrift store, and you guys know the drill. I like to take you through the store with me and point out some of those pieces that can really help to elevate your space and give it a much more high-end designer feel. But of course, they're for those super budget-friendly thrift store prices, and I like to give you styling tips and decorating ideas with the items that we come across in the store, and then we'll come back home and I'll show you everything that I scored for my own space and how I'm planning to style it. So I hope you guys enjoy this one, and without further ado, let's go thrifting.
Okay, so one of the first things that I spotted was this blue rimmed glass pitcher, and this looks super similar to the one that they sell on Pottery Barn, and these are typically made out of hand blown glass. And I actually have one that I found a while back at a thrift store in North Carolina, and because it's clear glass, I love filling this up with an aesthetically pleasing specialty drink at parties like I did at our gingerbread house party a couple of years ago. And I know it's not quite holiday decorating time yet, but I loved this brass look trumpet candle holder. This looks really similar to the ones that they sell on designer sites like this one from McGee & Co. And this would look so pretty just styled with some simple holiday garland for that old world rustic look for the holidays. Next, I spotted 3 of these vintage style spindle chairs, and these were $15 each, and they were in really good condition. And I know I talked about eventually swapping out our leather dining chairs for something like this, just for more of that like cottagey European feel. And I thought that these would actually look really good in our space with our tablecloth, but I didn't end up getting them because there were only 3 of them. And I really do just love how comfortable the leather ones are. It's like sitting on a couch, so I held off for now. And another thing that I love looking for at thrift stores are unique plates that can all go together and create a collection. So I found these blue plates that looked a lot like the ones that they sell at Pottery Barn, except these ones were only $1. And my goal is to collect a bunch of different shapes, sizes, and patterns, and then display them on a wall over like a little bar area in a dining space. Just a really inexpensive and easy way to add personality to a wall. And this cute little glass ice bucket reminded me of ones that I've seen on designer sites for hundreds of dollars, and it would be so pretty just styled on a little bar area. Now, something that I see quite often at the thrift stores are these cute little wall shelves, and I love these just for something different to help add personality to a wall. They sell different ones on designer sites with a similar concept, and they can be quite pricey. So I really love the idea of mixing these into a gallery wall. Whether you mix it in with plates, frames, or both, it just helps to add a different shape and breaks up the wall in a really pretty way. It's also a great opportunity to be able to incorporate like a little vase and greenery to a wall as well. I actually ended up getting this one because it was 50% off, and I thought it would be really cute to eventually put on a little stuccoed wall in our backyard with a terracotta pot on it. I just love the Spanish Mediterranean feel that it gave off. Another piece that I thought was so charming was this little spindle leg ottoman with the gingham fabric, and this little guy was only $10, and I thought it would make a really sweet little side table, maybe next to a sofa. And I actually liked how some of the wood on the legs was a bit distressed. It just gives off that casual lived-in feel, which I personally really love. And another piece that had some of that chippy patina was this cute little footed bowl, and I just love collecting bowls with a shape like this to have on hand for floral arrangements. And if you're not into arranging a bunch of florals, this can have a much more down-to-earth look if you simply just pop a branch or 2 in it. And another fun little find was this slate serving board, and I actually bought several of these a couple years back to give as Christmas gifts, and they're so fun because you can buy slate chalk and then label your charcuterie boards. So this was a smaller version obviously, but still the same concept as the ones that they sell at Williams-Sonoma. And something that I almost always find at my thrift stores are vintage baskets for aesthetic storage. And I just love the warmth that woven vintage baskets can add to a space. This, I believe, is an old picnic basket, and it was still in really good condition. It was only $8.50, and this would be so sweet styled on somewhere like open shelving in a kitchen. You could use it to store less aesthetically pleasing items, but then still give your space a more elevated designer feel. middle. So everything is just hidden away in this pretty basket, and it also helps to add warmth and personality to the space. Also, the spindle chair caught my eye. It did not have a price on it. I feel like they just put it out, but it reminded me of the spindle chairs that are really expensive on designer sites, and it looked like it would be easy to reupholster and maybe use for something like a desk chair in an office or something. I also loved this little wooden easel, and these are so perfect for displaying artwork on somewhere like a console table or a shelf. They just help to highlight the art piece and give it its own little moment, which I love, especially for only $3.50. Now, I loved the old world feel of this cute little lantern. Honestly, I'm kind of upset watching this back that I didn't get it, because it would have been such a cute little layering piece to style with some potted plants in front of a fireplace or even in an entryway. Okay, so next, this little frame doesn't necessarily fit my personal design style, but I just thought it was so cute and unique, and maybe a fun way to repurpose a broken mug or something with a little DIY. But now let's go back home and I'll show you guys what I found for my space.
Okay, so now we're back home from the thrift stores. I'm going to show you guys everything that I found for my space and how I'm planning to style it. So the first couple things that I came across were these gorgeous pieces of serveware. So first up, we have this super beautiful handmade pie dish. Now, this guy was only $4.50, and it has a signature on the back, so you know that it was handmade. And what really drew me to this piece was how earthy it looked, and just the rustic glaze on here, and the beautiful hand-carved grain details here on the bottom. I also love the cute little ruffles along the edge, and then also this has a little handle at the top, so you could actually display this on the wall. And I think that I might do that in the future, but it's so pretty for now that I want to use it as serveware, because I don't have a lot of like dishes with personality like this, so I want to use this to serve some of my bread items. And then also I found this really cute set of mini plates, and these are Fallscraft, I think that's how you say it, but a set of 4 was $3.50, and I've been looking for a set that's this size because it's perfect for having just like a little pastry or a cookie or a small piece of bread with tea or coffee in the morning. So it's nice because they don't take up a lot of space in the dishwasher. And I also love the little ruffle detail along the edge and how they just kind of have like that old world, like French European feel. So what I figured both of these would be perfect for is serving my wild grain bread products that I get every month. And a big thank you goes out to Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Wild Grain, they are the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for things like sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. And this month I got some of their delicious fall seasonal items like the pumpkin cinnamon biscuits. And these are so perfect for fall gatherings, after school snacks, or just enjoying with a cup of coffee in the morning or tea in the afternoon. I will say these pumpkin cinnamon biscuits with a cup of coffee in the morning has been my go-to little ritual lately, and I love just taking that time to enjoy it in the morning out on our porch. They also have apple cider donuts right now, and enjoying one of these warm apple cider donuts fresh out of the oven is honestly an experience I feel like everybody needs to have. I also love that I get to keep everything from my box right in my freezer, and then I can just bake it whenever I want, and everything bakes in 25 minutes or less, which is seriously so convenient and makes it perfect for last minute guests or just to have on hand for a cozy movie night. And unlike store-bought sourdough, Wild Grain uses a slow fermentation process with ingredients that I can actually pronounce, so it's a lot easier on my belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. So if you want to try Wild Grain for yourself and try some of the delicious fall items before they sell out, you can click the link in my description box and use code Jenna Pierce for $30 off your first box, as well as free croissants for life. A big thank you goes out to Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as we do. Okay, so this next piece is way too big to show you guys on camera, but it is probably one of my favorite finds of all time. And if I'm being completely honest, one of the places that I score finds the least is in the furniture section. I just typically don't have a lot of luck in that particular area, but I always look anyway. And one day I was going through there and I found this gorgeous scrubbed pine trunk. And you guys, this guy was only $17.50. I had no place for a trunk. I was sitting there thinking about where I was gonna put it, and I almost walked away because I was like, I don't have anywhere for this. But I I like couldn't move. My feet were frozen in place because I couldn't walk away from it. I was like, this is way too pretty of a piece to just leave here. So I just sat there for probably like 20 minutes and was trying to think of a place to put it. I love the hardware on it and just like the old rustic wood. It also has dovetail corner joints, which just indicates really good craftsmanship. I actually recently saw a very similar trunk on Facebook Marketplace and they're asking $500. And then I've also seen similar trunks on Etsy and other antique sites, and they're asking over $1,000 for a super similar trunk. Now, I will say, as far as condition goes, this one's a little beat up. There's some pencil marks on the top, and I'm pretty sure this was in like a little girl's room because there's like little rubber bands still left over on the inside, and I think she had written her name on it and stuff, but I'm pretty confident that I can get some of that stuff off. So I figured until I found a spot for this, this would just be beautiful aesthetic storage in my office to store some of my home decor finds. But then I started thinking about it and I'm like, this would make a really pretty large side table with some hidden storage in our formal living room. So in our front living room, we kind of have like this slip covered linen sofa that I got at the Crate and Barrel outlet a long time ago. And I figured I'd just pop it right next to that. And even though it is a little large and chunky, I think it kind of works. And I like that it has hidden storage so I can use it to store things like games, extra pillows, stuff like that. Just things that we want to have kind of hidden away, you know, art supplies, markers, stuff like that. And I love the way that the weathered wood contrasts against that like linen-y sofa. It just gives my space that really kind of like primitive, rustic, old world look. When you have items with a patina in your space, it typically creates a more laid back feel, which is what I always go for in my spaces. So I love how this looks. I cannot believe that I got it for under $20, and I think I'm going to use some of my next finds to style on top of it. Okay, so next, a foolproof decor piece that will always help to elevate the look of your space, and you can't have too much of them in my personal opinion, are books, specifically coffee table books. And I always love to source my coffee table books at the thrift store. You can get them for such good deals. This top one was only $3.29. Same thing with the middle one, and then the large one was $7.30. So under 15 bucks for all of these. And what I like to look at specifically when I am sourcing coffee table books is their binding. So I pay a lot of attention to the color and also the material. The material that I look for the most is linen. I think linen is just a very classic material. It's really organic feeling. It feels very natural, and I liked that this one was linen, so I knew that it'd be really beautiful to just stack on top here, and then that creates a nice little aesthetic riser for our side table on top of our trunk. So I'm just gonna put our lamp right on top of the stack of books. So this just makes it feel a lot more intentional, a lot more curated than if we were to just put the lamp directly onto the trunk. This just creates an extra layer of visual interest and makes everything feel a lot more collected. And then also I pay a lot of attention to the color of the binding. So I want it to kind of fit in with the color scheme that I have going on in the space that I'm sourcing it for. Obviously, you can never go wrong with neutral bindings, things like cream, white, tan, taupe. I really liked kind of like this neutral, earthy olive color of this big book here. So that's another thing that I pay attention to is size. Obviously, you can collect older books for a place like a bookshelf, but if you want to style your coffee table books on a surface, like on a coffee table or a console table, and use it as like a little riser for something like a lamp or a vase, you're going to want something with a larger surface area. So that's typically what I look for at the thrift store. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for good coffee table books at the thrift store. A lot of times you have to take the cover off to see what's inside. I think some of these did have a cover on top, so you want to make sure that you remove that and then see what the binding looks like underneath. Okay, so a styling piece that I've recently gotten into big time are cloches. So this one right here, I actually got at Target recently. This one is super affordable. I'll link it below. And then I believe this one was from At Home. So I like the little pair that these guys make, and you can stack these on books. You can put seasonal things inside. You can put faux plants inside. You can put candles inside. And these are great for shelf styling. I think the glass just helps to add another material. So I always like to keep an eye out for other cloches to style with it, and maybe something to complete a group of 3, because you guys know I love styling in groups of 3. I think that's really visually appealing. So The other day I came across this really cute one for $1.50, and I actually think this was originally like something that held a candle like this and there was like a little holder, but I figured it would work as a little cloche. So I'm gonna keep this to complete the group of 3, and I also got a little Pottery Barn candle just to pop inside of it. You can use these as little terrariums, you can put little Christmas trees in them during the holidays, you can put fairy lights in here, you can make a little arrangement of dried florals, and they really do give off such a designer feel. And I will link these and other similar cloches below. They're really not that expensive. Designer sites like McGee & Co do sell them, and I believe they are pretty expensive on those sites, but it's something that you can definitely find at the thrift store or source affordably. So just a fun, versatile decor piece, and I'm happy that I found something that could kind of complete the group of 3. Okay, so I love incorporating little copper details throughout a kitchen. I think it just helps the space feel a lot more rustic and kind of gives a nod to that like European farmhouse kitchen look, which I really do like and I gravitate towards. So when I saw this next piece, I was obsessed. It is this super cute little copper tea kettle. Now this guy was only $8.50, and honestly when I first saw this piece I thought it was like an expensive piece from Europe, but actually when you take the lid off, on the bottom you can see it's actually from World Market. So it's definitely not from Europe or anything like that, but I did see that other people are selling this exact one on eBay from anywhere from like $60 to $80, so still a good deal for $8.50. I love the beautiful feminine details of it and all of the curves, and it was so funny because the lady at the checkout, she was like, "This reminds me of Beauty and the Beast," and I was like, it totally does. Like, it's almost like a little cross between like the genie lamp and then Beauty and the Beast. I don't know, I just love like the fairy tale vibe that it has, and like all these fun details with the curves and all the visual interest and the warmth that it will add to the space. So what I actually got this for was to hang it on a future little rail that we're gonna put underneath our open shelving. So we don't have that obviously yet, but I thought that this would look so cute hanging just like this with the beautiful shape and all of the warmth that that copper is gonna add, and just kind of gives a nod to that like European rustic kitchen, which I really love. So right now obviously we don't have those installed, so I think it'll look cute just as a simple countertop accessory to help warm up the kitchen and make it feel like that rustic European kitchen that I love so much. Okay, so this next piece I've shown you guys briefly in a previous video, but I never showed like where I got it or how I'm gonna style it in the future. So I found this really beautiful kind of like vintage style hand carved wooden tray. And I say hand carved, I don't know if it is or not because originally it was from Ross, but I did find it at the thrift store for $12.50, which I felt like was a little high for the thrift store, especially since that's probably close to what it was at Ross. I guess we could kind of take this off and see what it was at Ross. Oh, it was originally $20 at Ross, so not that good of a deal, but I did think it was a really unique, kind of beautiful piece. So I also used this to style on our little leather ottoman. It just was a nice big tray where I could stack some big substantial things like books and a plant and stuff like that. I love that it has a hand carved detail on it. I feel like anytime you incorporate a piece where you can kind of see the human craftsmanship on it, that really helps to elevate your space and makes it feel a lot more intentionally sourced, which I love. So I like that it had this beautiful carving detail along the edges and that it was still made with like a rustic kind of distressed looking wood. It's also really nice if you have guests. You can use something like this to style on a bed. When you have guests come, you can roll up some towels, maybe a candle, some little things that they might need, like some pillow mist or the Wi-Fi password, stuff like that. What I actually thought would be kind of a unique use for this in the future too would be to use this as a little mounted plant stand. So almost like a picture frame, and then I could put a little plant in the center because they have those little plant hangers. So I could attach that here and then have a little pot hanging in the middle, and it would just make for this kind of like really unique looking piece that has visual interest, but it's also really natural and earthy. And I think that'd be fun kind of mixed into a gallery wall with like a house plant or something. So that's kind of an idea that I had for this in the future, and maybe like a little DIY that we might do. But for right now, I really do like how it looks on our little ottoman here in our guest room. So I'll keep it there for now, and maybe if I find another tray, then that can give me an excuse to put this on the wall and kind of mix it into a little gallery wall or something like that. All right, everyone, that about wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little thrift with me and haul. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help to support the channel. And speaking of supporting the channel, a big thank you goes out to Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video. I hope you all have a beautiful and wonderful week, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!